Welcome back to Wildly Unpopular, and I have a question for you.
What are demons?
A lot of people believe that fallen angels are demons, but 2 Peter 2:4 tells us that fallen angels are bound in Tartarus in chains until judgment. So if the fallen angels are bound, what are demons? Well, 1 Enoch kind of explains it all. Let's take a look. You're listening to Morgan Cadwell with Wildly Unpopular, where we discuss all things wildly unpopular. This is going to get interesting. So let's actually read 2 Peter 2:4. For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. So here it says they were cast into hell. The word hell was used in place of the word Tartarus. As we know, when we search words in the New Testament, we have to go back to the Greek language. When you look up this verse in the Greek, it does not say hell, it says Tartarus. Tartarus, hell, not quite the same thing. And this just really leaves us guessing. If fallen angels are bound in Tartarus, and they're not the unclean spirits that are roaming the earth, then what the heck is going on here? What if I told you that the book of 1 Enoch tells us exactly where unclean spirits come from? 1 Enoch 15:8-9. And now the giants, who are reproduced from the spirits of flesh, will be called evil spirits on earth, and on earth will be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and from the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They will be evil spirits on the earth, and evil spirits will they be called. 1 Enoch 15:11. And the spirits of the giants lead astray, do violence, make desolate, and attack and wrestle and hurl upon the earth, and cause illness. What Enoch is trying to tell us is that unclean spirits, or demons, actually come from the disembodied spirits of the giants, also called the Nephilim. How did these giants come to be? Where did the giants come from? Well, let's take a look. Genesis 6:4. The Nephilim, giants, were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of mankind, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Jude 1:6-7. And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound in everlasting chains for judgment on that great day. In a similar way, Sodom and Gomorrah, the surrounding towns, gave themselves up to sexual immorality and perversion. They serve as an example of those who suffer the punishment of eternal fire. So we actually see another verse here in the canon that says these fallen angels are not out roaming around. They are bound in chains, waiting for Judgment Day, and after Judgment Day, they will find themselves in the lake of fire. 1 Enoch 15:3-4. Why have you forsaken the high heaven, the eternal sanctuary, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken for yourselves wives, and done as the sons of earth, and begotten for yourselves sons, giants? You are holy ones and spirits living forever. With the blood of women you have defiled yourselves, and with the blood of flesh you have begotten, and with the blood of men you have lusted, and you have done as they do, flesh and blood, who die and perish. 1 Enoch 39:1. In those days, sons of the chosen and holy were descending from the highest heaven, and their seed was becoming one with the sons of men. 1 Enoch 12:4. Enoch, righteous scribe, go and say to the watchers of heaven, who forsook the highest heaven, the sanctuary of the eternal station, and defiled themselves with women, as the sons of earth do. So they took wives for themselves, and they worked great desolation on the earth. 1 Enoch 10:9-11. Go, Gabriel, to the bastards, to the half-breeds, to the sons of fornication. Sends them against one another in war of destruction. Length of days they will not have, and no petition will be granted to their fathers in their behalf, that they should expect to live an everlasting life, nor even that each of them should live 500 years. Go, Michael, bind Semjaza and the others with him, who have mated with the daughters of men, so that they were defiled by them in their uncleanness. 1 Enoch 9:8-9. They have gone into the daughters of men of the earth, and they have lain with them, and have defiled themselves with the women. And they revealed to them all sins, and have taught them to make hate-inducing charms. And now look, the daughters of men have borne sons to them, giants, half-breeds. 1 Enoch 6:1-6. When the sons of men had multiplied in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the watchers, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, Come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the daughters of men, and let us beget children for ourselves. And Semjaza, their chief, said to them, I fear that you will not want to do this deed, and I alone shall be guilty of a great sin. They answered him and said, Let us all swear an oath, and let us bind one another with a curse, that none of us turn back from this counsel until we fulfill it and do this deed. Then they all swore together and bound one another with a curse. And they were, all of them, 200, who descended in the days of Jared onto the peak of Mount Hermon. And they called the mountain Hermon because they swore and bound one another with a great curse on it. 1 Enoch 7:1-5. They took for themselves wives from among them such as they chose, and they began to go into them, and to defile themselves through them, and to teach them sorcery and charms, and to reveal to them the cutting of roots and plants. And they conceived from them and bore to them great giants. And the giants begot Nephilim, and to the Nephilim were born Eliud. And they were growing in accordance with their greatness. They were devouring the labor of all the sons of men, and men were not able to supply them. And the giants began to kill men and devour them, and they began to sin against the birds and the beasts and creeping things and the fish, and to devour one another's flesh, and they drank the blood. All right, now we have some Jubilees. Jubilees 7:21. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication, wherein the watchers against the law of their ordinances went a-whoring after the daughters of men, took themselves wives of all which they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanness. So we have fallen angels in Tartarus, bound in chains. We had giants because angels came down, mated with women. The women bore giants. The giants were the Nephilim. After the flood, the spirits of the Nephilim were still here. Their giant bodies died. Their spirits were still here. It says the earth will be their dwelling. So the fallen angels are bound in Tartarus until judgment. What happens to the unclean spirits, the disembodied spirits of the giants? 1 Enoch 16:1. From the day of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the soul of whose flesh the spirits are proceeding, they are making desolate without incurring judgment. Thus they will make desolate until the day of the consummation of the great judgment. When the great age will be consummated, it will be consummated all at once. So we see here in 1 Enoch 16, verse 1, that the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, unclean spirits, demons, will roam the earth without judgment until the day of judgment, where they will find themselves, just like their fathers, in the lake of fire. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you got something out of it. Shalom to you. You are greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. And of course, most importantly, don't forget to come back.